As I walked through the halls that my forefathers had walked, I wondered how many people of color took the journey to reshape their future as well as their children's children. I walk in the footsteps of greatness, looking at the colossal building that stands at 430 South Michigan Avenue, with its historic doors inviting all races of men and women to an equal opportunity of higher education. This journey did not come without a price. The cost of equal education for minorities in an era of segregation based on race, religion, or nationality, the sum of which was paid by Dr. Edward J. Sparling in cash, dedication, and loyalty. As founder of Roosevelt University, his work is repaid by the accomplishments of the countless number of minorities who reached to achieve their goals. Harold Washington, Bobby Rush, Ron Williams, Gus Savage, Emil Jones, Jesse Brown, and myself, to name a few. Dr. Sparling will be eternally known for his historic stand for rights of those who could not stand for themselves. And someone who knows this journey a bit better than I.
I began here as an adjunct professor in 1984. I became a full-time professor in 1991, and I became the dean about 14 years ago. When Roosevelt College was founded, it was founded because of a walkout of the faculty and students from the YMCA College because they were protesting the possible imposition of admissions quotas that would limit the number of black students and Jewish students. So they just walked out, but they had nowhere to go. So they bought an office building on Wells Street, but they outgrew it and they needed another building. But there weren't a lot of buildings that would sell to an integrated institution because of the racial attitudes of the time. But the auditorium building had gone bankrupt. And it was owned by several different people, which was very common at the time. And everybody was willing to sell to Roosevelt College, and this was in 1946, except one, the guy that was Al Capone's lawyer. After 12 years as dean, I was going to retire. But the president asked me to stay on and become the university historian, as I'm a history professor, and I love Roosevelt, and I love the building as you do. It was built in 1889, which is the same year as the Eiffel Tower. Adler and Sullivan were the architects, and Frank Lloyd Wright was the apprentice. And it was built as a luxury hotel. This room was a hotel room. And offices, which surrounded a 4,000-seat theater. So it was the first multi-use building in the world. And it was the first to have electric lights, and it has many architectural distinctions. So it was very, very famous, especially during the 1893 World's Fair. If you read Devil in a White City, this is one of the settings for that wonderful mystery book. And it was the most famous hotel ever, you know, and we have a lot of the pictures here of the lobby, what's now Gons Hall, what's now the Sullivan Room, the big reception rooms, and so on and so forth. There was actually a summer restaurant on the second floor in that porch that faces Michigan Avenue is now covered with glass, but it didn't used to be. In the summer, that used to be used as a restaurant also, but the 10th floor was a restaurant. And they had dumbwaiters, you know, pull up the food from a kitchen and so on and so forth. And there was also, as you know, there was a saloon, a bar, along what's now Congress Parkway, which was one of the greatest in Chicago. There was also a separate men's and a separate women's entrance in the Michigan lobby, as was very common at the time. Where the women's entrance was is behind what is now the juice kiosk. This building began to decline until it went bankrupt in the 1930s.
Right. And they used it as the USO, I want to say, used it.
That's right. The mayor used this as a serviceman center during World War II. I want to say from 1941 to 1945, and we have some wonderful pictures here of that. And in fact, the Auditorium Theater, which was considered the most it is still, by the way, the deepest stage in the city of Chicago, which is why there's so much dance there. But they put a bowling alley on the stage,
Right.
And so they at first considered miniature golf, but by the way, but then they put a bowling alley on the stage, and the whole building was trashed. All the stained glass and the woodwork covered with paint, the tile covered with asphalt, things destroyed right and left. So by the time Roosevelt College was looking for a new place to be, this was a bargain.
I want to thank you once again for taking the time out to answer some questions. That'll be it for me. I'm going to recommend that everyone get the book, Roosevelt University, Laura Mills. And
Available in the bookstore and online at Amazon.com.
All right, thank you very much. It was Dr. Sparling who did not falter in the face of adversity. His ability to stand strong in support of minorities who wish to be treated equally in their pursuit of equal education. Dr. Edward James Sparling was a dreamer, innovator, and motivator. The words of gratitude cannot justify my feelings. Thank you for the opportunity of higher education.